Hey, what's going on guys? Raj here. Today I'm going to be doing a video in the Just My Thoughts series, basically a series on my channel where I'll do fragrance related discussion videos. Today as one is going to be on performance and performance of fragrances, what they are and which ones are the most important to me and why. So, what I would say is that the first thing which comes to mind when I buy a fragrance is actually the scent. And I'm not going to talk that, I don't consider that as performance. Obviously, if the scent is really good for me, I think it's definitely a fragrance which I can add to my collection, then I'm already interested. And then the other things will then come into play. And these are the performance issues. So you've got your longevity, projection, sillage, and also for some people complement comes into it. So the first thing which is the most important to me is longevity. Longevity is the most important thing after scent and price. A fragrance has to last. You know, everybody wants a fragrance that lasts a long time. You want something to last long on your skin, and that's definitely the most important thing to me. I typically look for, 6, 7, 8, those type of hours. Depends on obviously the concentration. If it's eau de cologne, expectation is a little bit lower. If it's like an extrait de parfum, then I'm definitely expecting a lot of longevity, and that's definitely the most important thing. If I have a great scent and good or great longevity, then I'm almost sold. I'm pretty much there to buying the fragrance. The next thing which is I wanted to say is kind of like an analogy. A lot of people will say you spend a lot of money on a fragrance and therefore you expect it to last longer than maybe a cheaper fragrance which doesn't last as long. But I don't really see that, to be honest. That's not really what I think. I kind of thought of the analogy of, say for example, you have two cars. One is a very kind of standard car, maybe like a Ford, say, quite affordable option for some people, and it has the ability to drive 50 miles. And you have another car, which is a sports car, say like an Aston Martin, and it only has the ability to drive, say, 35 miles. For me, I would rather go with the Aston Martin and drive for a shorter period of shorter distance, only 35 miles. But I would rather get there in style, I would rather get there in a bit more luxury and something much more enjoyable, rather than having an average scent, which goes on for a really long amount of time, longer than maybe the more expensive option. That's kind of what I think about scent there, and longevity. Next up are factors which, to be honest, are not really that important to me. I'm going to mention sillage first. So sillage is basically you have you spray your scent on and you walk down the corridor. You walk a bit of distance, and that is the scent which people will pick up as that you leave behind you, basically. So for me, sillage is just not important at all. I really don't care about sillage at all. I'm kind of maybe that's my personality. Maybe I'm a person who isn't, the center of attention. I like to be subtle, but I want to be noticed at the same time. So, I don't really want a scent which people will still smell me after I've left a room. It's just not really my style. So it's all about personal preference. That's what this video is really all about. Personal preference. Sillage, don't really care. I'll have fragrances which have really big sillage, but I'll control that by doing a lesser number of sprays. The next thing which is important to me, but not really important at the same time, to an extent, and that is projection. So projection is basically, how much your fragrance will project off you in your sort of immediate area. So if I'm standing here and somebody's standing like a meter in front of me, the projection of the fragrance is a meter roughly, So projection, again, it just comes down to personal preference. I really don't mind if a fragrance doesn't project a huge distance. If I'm talking to somebody and they're maybe quite close to me and they can't smell me, that's not an issue. You know, for me, I wear fragrance for myself. I don't really wear fragrance for other people to comment on, or if somebody does or doesn't comment on a fragrance which I wear, I'm kind of indifferent to that, to be honest. You know, a lot of people will say that I'm buying a fragrance which cost a lot of money, and therefore I want it to project a lot. I want a lot of people to smell me. But I don't really understand that, to be honest, because, you know, I don't wear a fragrance to please other people. And that's kind of like, just like my life generally, you know, I do things for myself. And if I do it well, then other people will be pleased. But, you know, I don't really go out to please other people. Please yourself first. And I understand, you know, people like to receive attention from other people, and, you know, I like receiving compliments from other people as well. But it's not the be-all and end-all when it comes to fragrance. It's not my main goal. My main goal is to smell good, and if I can smell myself, you know, if the fragrance is even a skin scent, as long as I can smell myself, that's the most important thing. So yeah, projection, that's kind of my views on projection. It's just a factor. The only time projection really becomes important to me is when a fragrance has bad longevity. So if a fragrance doesn't last that long on my skin, or it becomes a skin scent very, very quickly, I want to be able to smell it significantly for that short period of time. So if a fragrance lasts 4 hours, I don't want to sort of, you know, hardly smell it during that 4 hours. I want it to be projecting quite a lot. And I guess sometimes some fragrances, the nature of a fragrance, some of them can be more volatile than others. I definitely don't believe that a more expensive fragrance should have more projection, because, you know, some essential oils, some synthetic oils will last longer on your skin and will sometimes not last as long as on your skin. It's all about volatility of a particular ingredient, you know. That's what I think anyway. And for me, as long as it smells good and it lasts a long time and I feel I can afford it, that's the most important thing. And one final thing I wanted to touch on is compliments. I watched a video a few weeks ago actually from a great reviewer, Coach Rob, and he's very much into compliments. He likes to receive compliments, as do other people. He's not the only person. And he mentioned a really good thing in his video, saying that if you want to get compliments, you should be in social scenario. You should become a little bit more social, be in a more social environment, and that is the best way of garnering compliments. And I think that's the best thing to do if you're worried about not receiving compliments. Maybe you're just not hanging around the right number of people, or it also comes down to where you are, what country you live in, what region in that country. You know, some people are more likely to give you compliments in certain cities. So I live in London, and people tend to be a little bit more reserved. I'm not going to get any compliments from strangers, you know, unsolicited strangers. It just doesn't happen in this city. Maybe that's just my experience anyway. So compliments are important to some people, but not really to me, because again, you know, I wear a fragrance for myself. If somebody doesn't like my fragrance and they tell me they don't like it, am I gonna sell that fragrance? Am I not gonna buy it again? No. As long as I enjoy it, that's the most important thing. And this is what this whole fragrance thing is about. It's for yourself, you know. Wear fragrances for yourself. I understand, you know, people like to wear fragrances for their partners and stuff like that, but even then, I wouldn't let that stop me from wearing a fragrance I really enjoy. So those are just, you know, just a few ideas I had on performance and what is important to me and what isn't that important to me, to be honest. So yeah, let me know what your thoughts are. Do you believe that if you spend a lot of money on a fragrance, it should project a lot? Do you expect to receive compliments on those type of fragrance? Does it disappoint you when you don't receive compliments? It just would be good to hear what your thoughts are on performance of fragrances. So thanks for watching, guys, and stay tuned for more videos coming up soon.